Welcome to Moonlight Madness, and today we're doing a reading for the air sign as we are coming into official Aquarium season. This is also called Cupid season because, we've got Valentine's Day coming up. So I've done some candle work, some spell magic to bring love in for the Aquarians. This is my Lover's Path Tarot deck by Chris Waldner. Chris Walder, and this spread is called the relationship spread. So it's a relationship cross. Now I've put a crystal, which is my amethyst crystal from Rainbow Runner, on the top of Cupid. You're coming up in your own reading as Cupid, the Prince of Arrows. There he is there. Cupid was a mischievous guy who used to shoot arrows at people and make them fall in love whether they wanted to or not. Maybe you're wanting to fall in love but you're scared of the process. It's like this is a very mixed bag reading. I've got on one end you wanting to bring somebody in, but you're very much in your head, you're very much in hermit mode. You're not going out, and you may be taking time away from people, places or things because you have things to work through. The hermit is going within and finding the light to then bring out into the world once again, once we've processed. If you're going through grief, like I've just lost my grandmother, so I'm going through grieving process. The Prince of Arrows is decisiveness, clarity, determination. The person has the ability to move in a very incisive way. They use their cerebrum. They're more cerebral is what I'm trying to say. I can't get my words out. More cerebral. They use their mind over their heart. Most of the decisions they make is mind over heart. Creating clarity from confusion. Being able to defend oneself brilliantly. Helping others with their words. You may be a wordsmith. You may like to fly by the seat of your pants. You may be someone who takes risky moves. Like most people, be very careful. You just jump in impulsively. This can get you into a lot of trouble. Has with me recently, and I find that I act out of what I think is right and wrong. I've got very strong opinions, and sometimes I act out of overly upset, overly emotional place rather than my brain. My brain would normally talk myself out of it, but if my vulnerability is down, my heart is open because it's processing something. I'm just wanting support, possibly. And you go looking for it in the wrong places. So that's my message to myself. I've got here selenite, which helps to amplify any crystal that's around it. Now it's saying here, in the past you may have been a child of light. The magic blue flute apparently is a real thing in the underworld, and it talks about the fool, about Pamina and Lamino, who were wandering through the depths of, coming out of childhood into adulthood, and he's covered with a blinding, like he's blind, moving through it blindly, but he's following the song of his heart to be with Pamina, and he's burgeoning, coming into puberty, becoming a man, and he's following and trusting his heart, his song. So it says in the past you were probably always very innocent. It's saying you were also meant to lead. You may have been meant to lead later on, but you always had very strong leadership qualities. Those two people in these cards talks about Brunhilde and Siegfried. She ran off with the Siegfried, which was her father's enemy, or someone he didn't want her to marry, but she went off with him anyway and changed history. So that's a German fairy tale. The Eight of Cups talks about being disillusioned and walking away from people, places and things. Maybe you were in a leadership role in the past, or maybe you were forced into a leadership role as a child. You may have had to be the leader of the house. You may have had to be the one that took responsibility, and it wasn't your responsibility. It wasn't your story to solve. But you stepped up because you may have had to help look after a small child. You may have had to be the parent, early on. It's saying here, in the future, you've got this ability to use your brain to attract the right type of person, someone who is like you, that is very discerning and looks at life and aims straight and narrow and uses very logical choices. The Ace of Arrows talks about being in command of one's emotions, using wisdom, intelligence, understanding, and clarity and good judgment and truth, and beginning of a cycle of intellectual growth. You may meet someone very soon while you're studying, possibly it's law, or they may be in the law field. They could be a police officer, they could be a judge, they could be someone that makes decisions based on human emotion and for the intellect of the greater good and upholds the truth. So I've got here the feather to hold up the truth. When in the underworld, when you were weighed up against a feather and your heart weighed heavier than the feather, then it meant your heart was not pure. It would be fed to a demon. So that's why I've got the feather. The Four of Staves talks about a relationship coming in that can lead to marriage. It's a very strong union. You've got Cupid and Psyche, the awakening. Cupid and Psyche were supposed to not be together. He was told to go and be with somebody else. Again, someone was trying to direct his movements, but he loved Psyche. He went after her and made sure they were together. That's the awakening, and that's on the new deck. So I'm still getting used to where all these meanings are. Awakening is 1x. It's the Sun card. You may end up with someone who's got a child, a son already, or you have a son. You both have sons, and you come into it as a mature relationship. It's creativity, success, fertility, and optimism. If you don't want to be pregnant at this time, it's warning about pregnancy as well. Emotional awakening, an expansive, life-affirming energy that brings opportunities and optimism, love and sexuality, creativity, procreation, and relationships with children. You may want to work with the children in a justice type of setting. You might want to protect young children. So that could be another thing that's talking about while you go and study the law. You might want to specialise in children's law. And then you have the other person that's part of this reading is Adonis, is the King of Arrows. He again talks about being truthful, discerning, using the intellect. He's probably more comfortable being a public speaker than what he used to be holding hands and walking down the beach. He might not have a romantic bone in his body like you, but maybe he's just guarded with his feelings, and he makes decisions based on fact and logic rather than emotional decisions. Like I said, he could be in the legal system because you've got the Justice card here and the Temptation card. So there may be a temptation for someone who's in law enforcement, and maybe they can't move forward towards you because they are studying or investigating you and trying to find flaw in your character, trying to find flaws, things about you that are not great, to exploit that. So maybe you've been investigated for past actions. Maybe you've been tempted by the devil, and the devil is sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Maybe you had addictions, or maybe he had addictions in the past, and so he's being careful of not being addicted to you rather than what he's overcome, which is the drugs, alcohol, and sex. Then you've got the Eight of Staves, and the Eight of Staves talks about flights of fantasy and rushing in and going towards someone who is by plane. You can't get to them any other way, but you're contemplating, you're wondering whether it's the right decision because you are all in your feels at the moment. And the Prince of Coins talks about you wanting stability, but you're not sure whether to go towards this other person who may have a discerning nature that is far from you. They may not even live in the same country as you. So maybe you're being looked into from other people that are trying to protect their interests as well. Maybe they've been burnt in prior relationships and they have children that they're trying to protect. And they may be going through a legal system as well. They may be going through a separation, which is causing all this pain and superstition and suspicion of other people coming in. But that's all I have for you today for the Lovers spread. It's a mixed bag. coming through with the energy, you know. I've got very strong leadership strength. Maybe they're attracted to your strength of character while they've been investigating your past actions and movements. They've seen you've always tried to do the right thing and be truthful, and this may go in your favour if you are going through a court matter.